All right. We're live with another episode of Beyond the Forecast here. What is this? Episode 7? Episode 8? Something like that? We've done a bunch now.
It's something like that. Yeah.
And I feel like we've been building up to this episode.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. We mentioned it in one of the previous updates, or one of the previous podcasts, if you will.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about BAM alerts, because we started getting some questions on social media. We put out a couple of posts on Friday and on Tuesday with severe weather in the area about how we were issuing a custom alert. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that, dive into it. And I have a couple of comments that I want us to address that I saw on social media, because I do think that, I don't think confusion is the right word, but I do think that people may not completely understand how it's possible that we do this.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Brett. You're just really hopping right into business this morning, aren't you?
I am.
He's ready to get down and talk and get dirty with it. I would like to just take a moment to just, hang out for a second. You sent me an app this morning about improving my golf game.
I did.
And that's piqued my interest. I have next Wednesday at 3 o'clock, I have a custom fitting scheduled with the Callaway reps
I use Callaway
at the golf course. And I'm trying to golf, trying to become good. And I'm excited it's a very relaxing sport. This isn't very relaxing because sometimes I want to strangle people.
Don't you want to throw clubs sometimes at the golf course too?
I do.
I do. Say, I understand what you mean when you say golf is relaxing, but I wouldn't say that every minute of golf is relaxing, because sometimes you do want to.
Unless you can have a nooner.
Which you can't.
Yeah, not yet.
Not for
23 days.
Yeah, I was going to say you're getting close.
Getting close.
You're getting close.
We're getting close to nooner season.
So, do you want to tell people why that is? Why you can't have any nooners? And
so I'm in preparation for a natural bodybuilding competition, which means it's a drug-free show. So I'm trying to look as good as I can on stage against other people without using drugs. We've been in preparation since January, and it has been a total grind. I haven't dined out or had alcohol in quite a while.
It's very impressive, though. How do you feel?
I actually feel pretty good today. I go through waves of. Yesterday I had a major energy crashes where I can barely stay awake. Mm-hmm. It's not healthy, by the way. I don't need people to email in and say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I know it's not like this. Isn't like a health journey. This is like a nasty competition journey. Mm-hmm. I understand I'm not doing it for health. So, but 23 days left. June 14th, day after I turn 38 years old. So,
all right.
My goal is to win the Mr. Indiana title. So, I'm trying. That's very difficult. I could win. I could place 7th.
I was going to say, how many people do you go up against? How many people are doing this?
That's a good question. I would say that the athletes that show up like looking good, 15 to 20 different people from around the area that will compete. So, it's interesting. Well, you know what's funny? This is kind of funny. There are a lot of several personalities or meteorologists in the field that do bodybuilding competitions.
There
is. It's kind of strange. I don't know why.
Yeah. Thinking back all the way to Joe Bastardi, right?
Yeah.
Joe Bastardi. Who else? Is it Reed? I don't know if Reed Timmer. I don't know.
I don't know, but there's a lot of just, jacked meteorologists that are, pumping iron. And anyways, we're getting way off track. But,
anyway.
No, hey, real quick. So we want to make sure you guys continue to listen, share the show, tag a friend, post it, give us a review in the podcast stuff there on Apple and Spotify and all the things. And we'll get into the BAM alerts, because You know, it's for a long time. You know, we've watched certain situations, certain storms, and we've tried to approach this in a professional manner. You know, our job, our motivation isn't to drag the NWS through the mud. We're not trying to make people, you know, look bad. We're not. It's not about that. But a spade's a spade. We're calling it how we see it when it comes to these alerts. A lot of people are talking about doing their own alerts right now, and that's great. Anyone can play the game. That's fine.
Sure.
But there's a right and a wrong way to do this, and I think that if approached appropriately and responsibly, this can be a huge value add to a lot of people.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, we're not trying to replace the National Weather Service in terms of
Not yet.
superseding their warnings, right? We're not
Right.
superseding their warnings, but we're supplementing, and we're trying to enhance and prepare people more. That's
Yep.
just the bottom line. Is we're not trying to say, oh, you know, you suck. We're just trying to help people.
Yeah, I agree.
I
There are instances where
Sure.
I'm like, okay,
What are we doing?
what the hell's happening here?
Um,
Where's it at? Like the one at Sullivan earlier this week, where it went 18 minutes.
Sure.
There's some.
And 6 minutes before the Bloomington one.
Yeah. I
but-
still think I don't think 6 minutes is right. We were watching that storm for an hour. I mean,
There was some confusion with that storm because they
Yeah.
issued the tornado reported, and then it went away.
Yep.
And then the tornado warning came. There was something weird that happened with the warning for that system.
Which is kind of what I was never confused.
No, it wasn't
That storm.
confusing.
What I'm saying is we weren't confused.
Sure.
We saw what we saw. We knew what it was doing. It was impressive. It was a supercell, and it was putting a tornado down.
Yeah, and that continued. The warnings never should have, in that situation, never should have been dropped, and it should have. You know, we're trying to give people more advance notice. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Is we're trying to prepare people faster so they can act faster.
Yep.
And they can keep themselves safe.
Yep.
And I will say, I went through all the comments this morning when we posted specific BAM alerts
I bet
on
that
our
was fun.
social media. It was fun, but I will say about 80% of them were actually kind and appreciative.
Oh, good. Were there ones that weren't?
There were ones that weren't.
Oh, we should
But
read
I
those.
think that we can educate using those. So here's one, for example. I don't think you guys should be in the business of issuing tornado warnings. Let the professionals handle that.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, did we get names of the?
I just wrote down Josh.
Yeah, Josh. So, listen, sure, I let the professionals do it. You bet. We tried running that play, and we went 18 minutes without a tornado warning. You know, we went 6 minutes. I think it's longer than 6 minutes without the proper warning time in Monroe County and Bloomington, Indiana. Columbus a couple weeks ago. I mean, I can go on and on and on here. I've got multiple examples of instances where, you know, I'm watching radar. I've watched radar for 15 years. I took radar meteorology in college.
We are all trained
Yes,
to
professionals.
do this.
Yes.
We are professionals. We're not social media cowboys.
No.
Right?
I mean, we are, but
we are.
Yeah.
We have fun
Uh-huh.
because that is allowed.
Yeah, it is allowed. Yeah, but we service, I mean, gosh, we have some of the largest businesses in the world. In fact, I've just been invited to one of them to tour their facility. It's a Fortune 50 company. I can't say who it is because we have an NDA, but we service big people, big businesses, billions, multi-billion-dollar operations.
Yeah. Airports, and we do,
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, all kinds of professional sporting teams. Bengals, the Cubs, the Steelers,
Yeah.
the Pirates, the Nationals.
Yeah.
Multiple race teams in the Indy 500 this weekend.
Yeah. So saying leave it to the professionals that's not an accurate statement. I understand. Listen, anytime change comes, anytime new things are happening, people are going to go, well, what the hell is going on? Why the NWS is supposed to do this? Why is that? Why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's gonna happen naturally. But the education piece needs to be that it can be done efficiently, it can be done quickly. And when we talked a couple weeks ago about the NWS budget cuts and all the things, we talked about the word efficiency. We talked about the word enhancement. And the warning process is old and archaic and slow. And I'll tell you, we also we warn double the amount of area needed. We've had the technology and the ability to shrink these warnings for years.
Mm-hmm.
We warn way too much area for very tiny tornado threats.
Yeah, if you look at, you look at a supercell thunderstorm just as an example. Obviously, squall lines are a little bit different, but you look at a supercell thunderstorm, and it might be 10, 15 miles wide.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you're never going to have a tornado that's bigger than, the biggest tornado, what, 1.5 miles maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's big.
But the vast majority of them are going to be a couple hundred yards.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that the technology has been there. It's been researched by the Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma for a better part of a decade. In fact, I believe the program was called SAILS or something. There was a program, a whole research project where they were going to dramatically shrink the warning polygons.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to cut them in half. And I don't know what happened to it or where it went, but you can do it. With radar nowadays, with the way radar updates and how high resolution it is, and having the gate-to-gate, resolution of rotation, and there's no reason why, if Monroe County goes into a tornado warning, that 75% of that tornado warning isn't even going to, actually, let's call it 95% of that actual warned area is not even going to get a tornado.
Sure. And you have to leave a little room for error, but it doesn't need to be
What it
15 times the actual area.
What other comments you got?
Rob says, a BAM tornado warning, haha, that means nothing.
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, I understand that, people might think that it doesn't mean anything, but ask the people that got hit by the tornadoes that we issued the warnings for. I would imagine they may have a different explanation or a different version of what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we had people in Columbus a couple weeks ago, like telling us that if it wasn't for our alert, I think they would have been seriously injured or caught off.
Which goes to a kind comment that I wrote down.
Yeah, thanks, Rob, for the love. We appreciate you.
Bridget, this is from Bridget. She says, the National Weather Service, never issued a warning for a tornado on the ground 10 miles from my house a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And she was appreciative for what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I think that there is the example of why we issue the alerts.
Yeah.
Is because sometimes they're needed. They're just flat out needed, and we're not going to sit around and let people get potentially hurt or their homes destroyed without any preparation and say, oh, well, the National Weather Service didn't issue it, so too bad. And that's not what we're going to do. We're here to protect people. We're here to keep people safe. Everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, excuse me, I have no problem with the people that work in the National Weather Service. This is not I'm not trying to speak negatively of them. I'm recalling what the event did and where it was missed. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's not, defund the NWS, they suck and fire. That's not what I'm saying. We need the NWS.
Yeah.
We need that. We can't possibly cover all the watch, warning, all that, but we need that system in place. We need the people there from the National Weather Service. But as a private side service, as an additive to that, the supplementation of having extra eyes on things, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an or.
No.
It doesn't have to be BAM or the National Weather Service.
No, it doesn't.
What if instead of thinking so narrow-minded in this field, BAM.
There's a lot of that in this industry.
BAM and the National Weather Service.
Yep.
Forever, it's been broadcast and the National Weather Service.
Mm-hmm.
It can be broadcast and private companies and the National Weather Service all supporting the people to keep people safe.
Yeah, it can. I mean, I think there's times and places for that. I mean, listen, I think that I'm going to be honest. If people want the best and they want the answers and they want it consolidated, then they need to come to us because that's what we've designed our platform to be.
Sure, because we pull in all of that.
Yeah.
We pull in everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting topic. And again, I was on a call on a demonstration yesterday with an EMA down in southern Indiana. I won't mention the county. But I was on a call with their director and their assistant director and their 911 director, and they're panicking, like sheer panic. And in the call, they were like, we don't know what to do. We are so stressed out. We've lost support. And when we get support, every time something happens, it's the forecast is totally wrong. And we are struggling. We need help. Mm-hmm. And we have talked to EMAs like this now for weeks. They're losing the support from the Weather Service in instances, not because the Weather Service wants to withdraw.
Sure.
It's because they can't.
Yeah. And they're still providing, radar data.
Yeah, they're providing stuff.
The and part is we need somebody that's able to directly communicate with these decision makers, which is where we really come in.
Yep. Yep. And that's the thing is, I think there's a need here in the industry, whether people sitting at home, the Bobs and the Joshes of the world, or the Robs or whoever they are, there is a need for this. There are organizations all over the place, everywhere you look, that are impacted by weather. Everybody's impacted by weather, and there's a huge need for tailored services that people can rely on, that they're not having to wonder, are they going to get it or not?
Sure.
It's a big deal.
Well, and I think it goes, and I'll get back to a couple comments in a minute, but it goes beyond just tornado warnings. That's kind of the big focus because that's what everybody gets very concerned about, and for good reason. But yeah. I think back to 5 or 6 years ago when we were working with the Des Moines Art Festival, and now what we can do is there was a gust front that shot out from a storm.
Yep.
There wasn't any warning on it or statement or anything. It was way detached from the storm, but it brought through 50+ mile per hour wind gusts into the Des Moines Art Festival, which could have damaged millions of artwork, millions of dollars worth of artwork.
Yep.
And obviously injured people as well.
Yep.
And so, back then it was just a phone call, right? We were communicating with the directors and the staff there to help them prepare for that with a phone call. But now what we can do is we can issue these statements. We can issue nowcasts, if you will, our custom. Technically, it's not a warning, right? But it's an alert. It's a BAM alert in the form of a nowcast, and let people know ahead that, hey, gust front's coming through. You need to, if you've got outdoor activities going on, you need to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So there are situations like that too that's never going to be warned. It's not a storm.
Yep.
It's not severe level wind, but it's important.
Well, yeah, and that type of support is not coming from other places. There's not someone watching that could have assisted with that.
Sure.
Not even that there wouldn't even have been an alert that was sent out.
No, there wouldn't be. It's not in the. I think that's one potential bigger, broader issue is the criteria. The strict criteria for issuing some of these statements and alerts and whatnot.
Yep.
When in reality, I think that's what we do is we tailor it for specific individuals, specific companies, specific organizations, specific events.
Yep.
Because weather impacts everybody differently.
Yep, for sure. What other comments you got? I have. I was just reading some of the comments here on the YouTube channel.
Any good ones?
They're good. Shauna King, we appreciate the kind words, and Chris Dill had an interesting comment that made sense. She said, I can understand if they overwarn just for the sake of deviant motion or storm fallout,
Sure.
but that's not what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, she's not wrong. And Shauna King says, you know, if it wasn't for BAM, my sister in Columbus would have been harmed. It's too broad of a service, if that makes sense. We need to reel it in. Talking about the weather service alerts. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with these comments.
So I think that in a lot of cases, not just in this particular topic, but in the world, sometimes the minority is the loudest. And I think that is some of what happens.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
like I said, when I went through the comments, most people were very appreciative. There was, and I think that some of this is just, you know, educational for people. This specific comment, I don't think this person was trying to be rude, but they were asking, you're not the National Weather Service, so you can't issue that alert, question mark. And so I think that's just an education thing. I don't think this was Vincent. I don't think they were trying to be nasty or rude. If you
Yeah,
will.
probably just a lack of knowing. We can, in our platform, through Clarity that our clients pay to access, once that transaction happens and a login is given, that is a private platform. It is not public. So the only people that get the alerts are the people paying for them. And so we can do whatever we want. We could issue an alert that says, stand on your head and spin in circle alert. If we want, I mean, it would be crazy, but we could put that out to the devices.
Sure, and if
You
people
know.
don't find it valuable, then they'll, you know,
Yep.
if we issued that, they would probably be like, okay, these guys are crazy.
Yep.
But
But we could send it to the phone and plot it on the map, and it would get an alert. But point being is that you know, I think that it's one of those things where that's a perk of a private service, a private company, is we can do whatever we want. We're not publicly traded or governed by a body of tax-paying people that determine. You know, listen, the Weather Service has to go by a set of rules to even talk about a storm system. They have to communicate with neighboring offices. There has to be permission granted. We don't have to do any of that.
which speeds it up,
Yep.
you know, makes it more efficient.
That's the word.
And yeah, efficiency is the word, because how many meteorologists do we have here on staff? 12, 13 now?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Yeah.
We're to the point where I'm losing count, because
Yeah.
there's so many degreed meteorologists here on staff, which is, how many does a local National Weather Service office have? Like
I
8?
don't know.
I know
Actually,
it's changed,
I can
probably.
find out. I can grok it.
But I think the point here is there are probably still some people that follow us, especially on Facebook, that probably just think it's you and me.
Yeah.
Maybe Kirk. But there are a lot of people behind the scenes helping to assist and to prepare people. And so I think that's a key too, is it's not just Michael and I hopping on and being like, oh, that looks bad, right? Number one, we're degreed and we're trained, we know how to do it. Number two, we have a huge support system here, and we've got a team that is supporting each and every person within our platform, and a team that has your back, right? And so whether it's the getting down nitty gritty with the race team at the Indy 500 or an art festival, or whether it's, you know, letting a bigger group of people know that there could be a tornado that's unwarned by the National Weather Service, letting them know ahead of time. We do it all.
So the Weather Service employs 2,000 meteorologists and hydrometeorological technicians across 150 offices, including 122 weather forecast offices and river forecast centers. Each WFO, or local weather service, is typically staffed 24/7. A single office estimates around 10 to 15 meteorologists, depending on its size and workload, with larger offices and potentially having more and ones potentially having less. So 10 to 15 at an NWS office. But here's the thing. Here's something to really think, and this is going to twist some brains and maybe piss some people off. I don't know. But we cover a lot with 13 people. And they have 2,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I'm going to be honest with you. I, as a business owner, servicing thousands of customers across the country, covering millions of miles, I have no idea what I would do with even 100 meteorologists, let alone 2,000 of them. I don't know how I would even. I would literally be. There's an efficiency thing there, and again, as a business owner, that's all I'm speaking from is that's a lot of meteorologists for data nowadays that is primarily automated. There's a little bit of adjustment being needed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if, are there, I'm not, I know that there's some here in the company that have, shadowed or interned at the National Weather Service. I have not, but I don't, what else? Obviously warnings and forecast discussions, but what else right now with the automation is being put out, I guess?
Nothing. I mean, seriously, I've been at them. I know. Nothing. I mean, there's nothing else to do. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, even here? I mean, gosh, what are we doing when 85% of the country is under high pressure and clear skies? Yeah. There's nothing to do as a meteorologist. I mean, we come up with other things to do.
Sure.
But that's because we're a private company. The government can't go in there and force a government employee to learn a new skill and do something different.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know. I don't know. And that's listen, the whole thing, NWS aside, it could be any branch of any government agency anywhere. It's not just NWS. Is, hey, what are we doing? Does it make the most sense money-wise? And that's the question. As much as people hate or love that's like we talked about a couple weeks ago. It's just a question of what's needed, where, and how many people are sitting around not doing much.
So. Well, we've started to see, I would say, I think that the examples, I feel like this year more than ever, and it's probably a result of some of the changes going on, is I feel like we felt the need to issue more of our custom alerts. I think we issued 23 last Friday.
Yeah.
I forgot to get the stat for what it was on Tuesday night with the additional severe weather, but we sent out 23 custom alerts on Friday night for that. I think we ended up with over 1,000 severe weather reports for that.
Well, 52 of the WFOs of the local weather offices are 20% short on staffing.
So we're seeing the implications of the changes already.
Yep.
And so if you're somebody that relies on communicating with them, especially whether it's their chat or whatever system that you have had in place, it's time to look into alternatives.
Yeah, as unfortunate as that is, yeah, it is. I mean, it is time to do that, and you would do that in anything in life. It's not just, again, this isn't pick on NWS stuff. It's when a system is being altered or changed or funding is being lost, or you have to pivot.
Sure.
I mean, it sucks, but life goes on.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Guys, this happens in life all the time, not just with weather. I mean, think about social media. I mean, think about what's happened to TV.
Yep.
Less streaming services.
Yep.
Stuff changes. Probably what happened to radio. We went from radio to TV to internet, now streaming services and social media, all in a matter of 50, 60 years.
Yep.
And stuff changes, and if you don't pivot and don't adjust, then you're going to fall behind, and your competitors, if you're a business making weather decisions, if you don't pivot to what will help you, you will fall behind.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught with your pants down, and that's not going to be good. Someone's going to get hurt. You're going to lose a bunch of money. Someone's going to get killed. Heaven forbid, anything like that. You've got to take it seriously. It was a reminder last week of the tornado outbreak that's killed over 20 people.
In London, Kentucky.
I mean, it's and then 5 in Missouri, and people die from this stuff. Lives are forever changed by weather, so it's not a game.
No, and I think that goes maybe even to a broader, deeper topic, if you will. I think maybe even getting beyond this slightly, I think society as a whole for too long has decided that weather is just something that happens and there's nothing that we can do about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I agree. But I do agree society has navigated towards that. Well, it's the weather. It is what it is. And no, it's not. There's so much you can do. So many things, so many proactive angles you can take to keep yourself ahead of things and prepared. That may be a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Maybe a topic for another day. But yeah, I mean, it's all interesting. It's all interesting. Be very curious to see how all this goes into winter, because winter impacts everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a snowstorm, it's not localized communities that are getting hit. It's every community.
Sure.
That's a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a blanket of a foot of snow across 3 states, that's a whole different ballgame than a tornado in a 1 mile part of a county.
Sure.
So now you're talking millions of people that are impacted versus a couple of thousand.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I'll start to wrap this up, and I want
Wrap it up.
One other kind comment that we
good.
got.
I like kind
Somebody
comments.
somebody asked a question, and I went into the comments and tried to explain why we do this.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't write their name down here for some reason. But she said, I remember it was a lady, appreciate that you responded in an educational manner. I learned more about what you represent and will consider BAME a valuable resource for bad weather in the future. The local weather apps don't always match with what's going on with live conditions.
Yeah. I don't know if they ever match. I went in yesterday, I was at Starbucks. Guy I know was in there, and he's a car guy. He's got some nice cars. He had one of his nice cars out, and he had just washed it, and it was starting to sprinkle. And he was like, what the hell? I checked my apps this morning, and there was no rain in the forecast. I was like, man, I've known it was going to rain today off and on for days because of this lingering low pressure, and it's pretty easy to see. But yeah, the free apps struggle with lingering upper lows.
Very light precip.
Very light precip. Yeah. And that's the perception, is the free apps they suck, so everybody thinks that it all sucks. Those free apps they're not made to give you information like that. They're made to take your info and sell it to marketing and get you to view advertising, so they make millions of dollars. They don't care if the forecast is right or wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them. So that's a whole nother podcast too. So, but
we
yeah.
just got our next 2 topics.
Yeah, we've got several.
The truth about weather apps and why society ignores weather.
Yes, yeah. So, no, great topic, good stuff, and certainly, it is something to keep in mind, folks. Is that these severe weather events with the changes, make sure you've got a good way to stay informed. Is it you don't want to get into a situation that you could have easily avoided.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and again, we can help with that for everyone. It's in our mission statement. For everyone.
Yep. It's not just for businesses; it's for anyone and everyone everywhere.
From Fortune 50 to your neighbor.
Yep.
We can help. So, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Beyond the Forecast. We'll be back next week with another podcast, and we may have selected a couple of potential topics there.
And guests, we have some guests coming.
Oh yes, we do have some potential
pretty interesting
guests
ones
coming. We've got a couple lined up. So be on the lookout for that and the specific dates on those. In the meantime, tag a friend. Be sure to share this. Go give us a 5-star review, if you will, on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back here next week. Thank you all.
See ya.